The twin suns of Althurian rose slowly over the shimmering crystal city. Towers of translucent metal reflected the golden light, painting the streets in hues of pink and violet. From above, the city seemed alive, as if it breathed with a rhythm all its own. Birds with silver wings soared in wide arcs, their calls echoing like music. Yet amidst the beauty, there was an air of tension that clung to the city like a shadow. Princess Liara walked along the palace balcony, her hands resting lightly on the smooth railing. She had always loved this view, watching the city wake. But today, her mind was restless. For days, she had awaited the arrival of humans, beings from a distant star, whose reputation for courage and intelligence had reached even the halls of Althurian. The council had debated endlessly about how to greet them. Some feared their presence, worried about human intentions. Others, including Liara, saw a chance to strengthen her planet, to build bonds that could protect their world for generations. Beside her, the young Princess Selena, Liara's daughter, observed silently. Selena was only 10 cycles old, but already she carried herself with the poise of her mother. Her violet eyes reflected both curiosity and caution. She had heard the whispered stories in the palace, humans who had faced impossible odds, who had explored worlds no alien had dared to touch. And yet, she also felt the weight of responsibility. One wrong move, one misstep, and her world could change forever. "Mother," Selena said softly, breaking the silence. "Are the humans dangerous?" Liara smiled gently, turning to her daughter. "Dangerous, perhaps, but all beings are dangerous if we do not understand them. We must meet them with respect and wisdom, not fear." Selena nodded slowly. She had learned from a young age that her mother's wisdom was to be trusted. Still, a flutter of unease stirred in her chest. The humans were unpredictable. They came from a distant star, carrying customs, ideas, and technologies far different from their own. Could they be trusted? Down below, the palace plaza was bustling. Servants hurried to prepare the grand welcoming hall, while guards lined the streets in their ceremonial armor. The humans' ship was scheduled to land at midday, and already the hum of anticipation filled the air. From her vantage point, Liara could see the massive landing pad, gleaming like polished stone under the suns. Then, a sudden shadow crossed the plaza. Liara's heart skipped a beat. A silver streak descended from the sky, slowing as it approached the landing pad. The humans had arrived. The ship landed with a soft thrum and a hatch opened. Figures emerged, tall and upright. They wore sleek uniforms, their faces calm but alert. Liara's breath caught in her throat. She had studied human appearances in images and reports, but seeing them in person was different. There was a strength in their posture, a quiet confidence that made them seem larger than life. "Mother," Selena whispered. "They look different." "Yes," Liara replied, her eyes fixed on the humans. "But that is why we must be wise. Differences can be dangerous, but they can also be a gift." The humans approached the palace steps with careful precision. Their leader, a man named Commander Elias, stepped forward. His expression was serious, yet there was a warmth in his eyes, a sense that he truly wished for peace. Liara descended the balcony steps gracefully, her flowing robes brushing the marble floor. Selena followed, her small hands clutching the edge of her mother's cloak. They entered the plaza together, the aliens and humans meeting at the center. "Welcome to Althurian," Liara said, her voice steady and clear. "We are honored to receive you." Commander Elias bowed slightly. "Thank you, Princess Liara. We come in peace, seeking friendship and understanding. Our people have heard of your planet's beauty and wisdom. We wish to learn and perhaps to share what we know in return." The princess's lips curved into a polite smile. "Then let us begin our dialogue. The council will be pleased to hear of your arrival." Selena watched silently as the humans followed Liara into the grand hall. She noticed small details, the way their boots clicked on the marble floor, the subtle way they observed the alien architecture, their eyes widening at the sight of floating lights and crystalline walls. There was intelligence in their curiosity, she realized. And yet there was something more, something that made them seem capable of facing the unknown without fear. Inside the hall, the atmosphere was tense but polite. The council members sat in their seats, their expressions unreadable. Liara led the humans to a place of honor. Commander Elias and his team took their seats opposite the council, the two worlds facing each other in silent anticipation. "Let us begin with introductions," Liara said. "I am Princess Liara of Althurian. This is my daughter, Selena." "We welcome you as friends, not as strangers," Elias nodded. I am Commander Elias of the starship Horizon. With me are my companions, Lieutenant Mara and Engineer Kellen. We hope to foster understanding between our worlds. The council murmured among themselves. Some exchanged skeptical glances. Trust did not come easily to Althurians, even to a princess. But Liara's presence and composure gave weight to the humans' words. Tell us, Liara continued, why have humans traveled so far to reach Althurian? Elias leaned forward. Our universe is changing. We face challenges that no one species can overcome alone. We seek allies, knowledge, and shared wisdom. Your planet has endured for countless cycles, and your people have built a society of balance and strength. We wish to learn from that. A council member spoke, his voice sharp and cautious. And what do you offer in return? Humans have technology, yes, but can you match the depth of our culture, the patience of our traditions? Elias smiled faintly. We do not pretend to match your culture. We offer what we have learned, problem-solving, exploration skills, and the ability to adapt quickly. Together, we may become stronger than either of us alone. Selena tilted her head. She could sense the tension, the weighing of potential risks. Humans were strange, but they radiated a quiet strength that felt reliable. Perhaps they were truly capable of more than the council suspected. Liara spoke again, her voice calm but firm. Trust is built, not demanded. Let our time together prove whether humans are allies or not. For now, let us focus on understanding one another. The council seemed to relax slightly. They had heard words like these before, but coming from the princess herself, they carried weight. The humans nodded respectfully. After formalities, Liara guided the humans to a balcony overlooking the city. There is much to see, she said, and much to learn. Elias looked out over the sparkling towers. It is unlike anything I have ever seen. Selena stepped beside them, her eyes bright with curiosity. Do humans see many worlds like this? She asked. Elias shook his head. Not many, but every world has its own story, just like Althurian, and every story can teach us something. The princess smiled at her daughter. See, Selena, humans are not all the same. Some may be careless, some brave, some wise, but they have potential just like any of us. For the first time since the humans' arrival, Selena felt a spark of hope. Perhaps these strangers from a distant star could truly become friends. Perhaps they could help Althurian face the challenges that lay ahead. As the suns dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the crystal city, the humans, the princess, and her daughter stood together on the balcony, looking toward a future that seemed uncertain, yet full of possibility. Little did they know, the events of the coming cycles would test not only their courage, but also their understanding of trust, diplomacy, and the true strength of humanity. And for Selena, the quiet observer, the lessons she would learn in the days ahead might shape her forever. For now, however, the city was calm, the humans were welcomed, and the first seeds of an extraordinary alliance were planted. Seeds that, if nurtured carefully, could grow into something greater than any of them had imagined. The morning suns of Althurian rose once more, casting long rays over the glittering city. The palace shimmered in gold and violet, reflecting light like 1,000 tiny mirrors. Yet within the calm and beauty, Princess Liara felt a tension that would not leave her. Today, the humans would venture beyond the city, into the mysterious crystal forest, a vast expanse of luminescent trees and crystalline plants that covered much of Althurian's northern plains. This forest, Liara said to Commander Elias, is both beautiful and dangerous. Its crystals react to movement and energy. They can guide you or trap you. Only those who move with care can navigate it safely. Elias nodded respectfully. We are ready for the challenge. Your guidance will help us understand it. Princess Selena watched quietly from behind her mother. She had been eager to see how the humans would act outside the safety of the palace. Humans fascinated her, their courage, their curiosity, and the way they seemed to think in ways no alien could anticipate. But the crystal forest was not a place for hesitation. Selena's sharp eyes scanned the horizon. The forest shimmered like liquid glass, each tree reflecting light in dizzying patterns. Even the softest step could create illusions that confused the mind. Mother, Selena whispered, what if they get lost? Liara smiled gently. Then they must trust themselves and one another. That is what makes this journey important. They will show us their courage and intelligence today. The humans stepped carefully onto the path leading into the forest. Elias led, with Lieutenant Mara at his side, scanning for changes in the crystalline terrain. Engineer Kellen followed, his eyes wide with both caution and wonder. The forest seemed alive, its glowing crystals pulsing faintly with every step the humans took. Selena's gaze remained fixed on them. She noticed how Elias paused at certain points, observing the crystals, testing the air. Mara moved confidently, her hand lightly touching the shimmering branches, sensing vibrations invisible to others. Kellen studied the reflections, calculating angles and light refractions as if he were solving a puzzle. "See how they think differently," Liara whispered to Selena. "This is why humans can be allies. Their minds are not bound by tradition, yet they respect what they do not yet understand." As the humans moved deeper into the forest, strange patterns of light began to form around them. Crystals projected holographic illusions, images of creatures that didn't exist, landscapes that shifted and warped, even visions of possible dangers. Many Arthurians avoided the forest for this reason. It tested perception and patience, separating the reckless from the wise. Elias stopped suddenly. "Do you see that?" he asked, pointing at a shimmering projection ahead. A massive creature appeared, like a hybrid of dragon and eagle with wings that reflected every color of the forest. Its eyes seemed to glow with intelligence. Mara examined it closely. "It's an illusion. The crystals project what we fear most." "If we react with panic, we are trapped," Kellen nodded. "Then we must trust ourselves and move calmly. Fear will not help." Step by step, the humans advanced, their movements deliberate and measured. Selena's heart raced as she watched from the balcony, holding her mother's hand tightly. She had never seen beings navigate such uncertainty with so much composure. Each illusion they faced was more convincing than the last, yet they continued forward unshaken. Hours passed as the humans moved deeper into the forest. Their progress was steady but cautious. The forest seemed to test not only their physical skill but their teamwork. At one point, a large cluster of crystal vines fell across their path, reflecting light in ways that made the trail ahead nearly invisible. "Let me try something," Kellen said, kneeling and using a small device he carried. A soft hum filled the air and the crystals began to vibrate slightly, revealing a faint path through the maze of reflections. Mara nodded. "Good thinking. That is the key to surviving this place, adaptation." Selena's eyes widened. Humans could solve problems in ways she had never imagined. Their approach was not like the Arthurians, who often relied on tradition and ritual. Humans used observation, analysis, and creativity together, forming solutions that were practical and effective. Suddenly, a shimmer of light swept across the forest floor. A gap opened in the crystalline canopy, revealing a hidden chamber deep within the forest. The humans approached carefully, noting the strange symbols etched into the walls of crystal. These symbols glowed faintly, reacting to their presence. "What is this place?" Mara whispered, awe in her voice. Liara, who had followed discreetly behind them, answered, "This is the heart of the crystal forest. It is sacred. Only those who approach with wisdom and respect can enter safely." Elias examined the symbols. "They seem to respond to energy. Perhaps they are a kind of test, measuring our intentions." Selena watched her mother's eyes, seeing the pride and cautious hope reflected there. Liara knew that the humans' actions today would influence not just their diplomatic relations, but the very perception of humans across Arthurian. Elias stepped forward, placing his hand lightly on one of the symbols. The chamber responded, glowing brighter. Slowly, the walls of crystal shifted, forming a clear path through the room. The humans advanced, each step deliberate, each movement respectful. "Notice how they listen to the forest," Liara whispered to Selena. "They do not force their way, they observe and adapt." That is the strength of humanity. Inside the chamber, the humans discovered a crystalline pool, its surface reflecting not only their images but faint visions of the planet's past. Liara had taught them that the forest preserved memories, echoes of ancient events. Here they could see Arthurian's history from the first settlements to the rise of the current royal line. Elias knelt by the pool, watching the reflections carefully. "Incredible," he murmured. "Your history is alive. It speaks to those who are willing to learn." Mara added, "We must be careful not to disturb it. Respect is the only way forward here." As they moved through the chamber, the humans encountered one final test. The crystals began to shift rapidly, forming a maze that seemed impossible to navigate. Yet instead of panicking, they paused, analyzing patterns and considering options. "Follow my lead," Elias said, signaling the others. He moved slowly, testing paths and reading subtle cues in the crystal's responses. Mara followed, using her intuition and sharp senses to adjust their route. Kellen applied his calculations, predicting where traps or dead ends might appear. Step by step, they advanced, working together with remarkable efficiency. Selena watched from a hidden vantage point as they overcame challenge after challenge, their cooperation flawless. She realized that humans were not only brave but also capable of learning quickly, of trusting each other while remaining cautious. Finally, the humans emerged from the maze into an open glade, bathed in the golden light of the twin suns. The forest seemed to recognize their success, its glow softening, welcoming them. Elias turned back toward the palace, his expression calm but filled with quiet triumph. Liara approached them, her smile proud. "You have passed the first test," she said. "Not by strength alone, but by wisdom, patience, and respect. You have proven that humans can navigate not only the unknown, but also the challenges of understanding another world." Selena ran to them, her eyes shining. You did it. You didn't panic, and you solved everything." Elias knelt to her level. "We learned from the forest, Princess Selena. We watched, we listened, and we worked together. That is how we succeed." Liara placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "See, Selena, humans are capable of more than fear. They are capable of cooperation, courage, and respect. Perhaps they can be trusted as allies after all." The humans smiled, feeling the weight of Liara's words. They knew that their actions today had demonstrated not just skill, but character. And in the eyes of Arthurian's royal family, character mattered more than anything else. As they returned to the palace, Selena walked beside the humans, asking questions about their world, their technology, and their adventures among the stars. The princess listened quietly, realizing that her daughter's curiosity had grown even stronger. The humans had not only impressed her with skill, they had inspired her. Liara, observing the exchange, felt a surge of hope. If humans could navigate the crystal forest with respect and intelligence, perhaps they could help Arthurian face the challenges looming on the horizon. For the first time in many cycles, the future seemed full of promise, not just for humans, but for Arthurian as well. The palace welcomed them back with applause, and the council members nodded in approval. Today, humans had not only proven their courage, they had demonstrated the very qualities that Liara had hoped to see: wisdom, patience, and integrity. And Selena, silent no longer, felt a spark of trust growing in her heart. Perhaps, she thought, this was the beginning of something extraordinary. Little did they know, the trials of the crystal forest were only the beginning. Greater challenges awaited, ones that would test the limits of trust, courage, and human ingenuity. But for now, the humans had earned their place in the eyes of Arthurian, and the seeds of alliance had taken root, strong, bright, and full of potential. The suns of Arthurian hung low in the sky, painting the crystal city in shades of orange and violet. The day had started with promise, but an uneasy tension gripped the palace. Scouts had returned with alarming news, an approaching fleet of rogue alien ships from a neighboring star system. These raiders had attacked unprepared planets before, taking resources and knowledge without mercy. Princess Liara stood in the palace command room, her hands pressed to the smooth crystal console. Around her, the council whispered anxiously. The humans had been learning about Arthurian's culture and history, but now their skills would be tested in a way no one had anticipated. Commander Elias and his team stood nearby, ready for the council's orders. "We have detected the raiders' fleet approaching," one of the Arthurian scouts reported. "They will reach the outer fields within the next hour." Liara took a deep breath. "We must protect our people, and we must act wisely. This is no time for fear." Selena, standing beside her mother, felt a tightening in her chest. The humans had shown courage and intelligence in the crystal forest, but could they help defend the entire city? She watched Elias carefully. There was a calm determination in his eyes, a sense of leadership that put her mind at ease. Elias addressed the council. "We've studied the city's defenses and your technology. If we work together, we can create a strategy to protect Arthurian without unnecessary destruction." Liara nodded. "Then let us begin. Selena, stay with me. Your place is here where you can observe, learn, and understand." The humans moved swiftly, coordinating with Arthurian engineers and strategists. They analyzed the city's energy shields, the positioning of defense drones, and the patterns of the approaching fleet. Where the council had relied on tradition, The humans applied logic and creativity. Raise the energy shields, Elias instructed, but stagger them in a pattern the raiders cannot predict. They will attempt to find weaknesses, so we must be unpredictable. The Arthurians complied, intrigued by the humans' approach. Staggered shields, overlapping energy barriers, and coordinated drone patrols created a dynamic defense grid. It was unlike anything Arthurian had used before, and already the council began to see the humans' value. Hours passed as the fleet drew closer. The suns dipped behind distant mountains, and the crystal city reflected their last light like a beacon. Selena remained at her mother's side, her eyes wide as she observed humans and Arthurians working side by side. "They are not afraid," Selena whispered to her mother. "Even now, when the raiders are so close," Liara nodded. "Courage is not the absence of fear, Selena. It is the choice to act despite it. Humans understand that well." As night fell, the raider fleet entered the outer fields. Ships of strange, jagged designs moved like predators, their weapons glowing ominously. The city's sensors picked up their movements, and alarms rang through the palace. Elias and his team moved to the command console. "We need to lure some of their ships into the trap," Elias said. "We'll use decoy signals and our drone fleet to confuse them. They will underestimate the humans' tactics, and that is our advantage." Selena watched as humans and Arthurians executed the plan. Drones darted between crystal towers, reflecting light to create illusions of multiple fleets. Energy pulses created phantom ships, and decoy signals made it appear that Arthurian had far more firepower than it truly did. The raiders, deceived by the displays, moved cautiously. A few ships ventured too close to the city's defenses, and Arthurian turrets, guided by humans' calculations, disabled them without destroying the craft completely. The raiders hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. "Your tactics are clever," one of the council members murmured, impressed. Elias nodded. "We use intelligence and observation as our weapons. Direct confrontation is often unnecessary if strategy is strong." Selena's admiration grew. Humans were not only brave, they were thoughtful, creative, and adaptable. They could take a chaotic situation and turn it into an advantage, something even the most disciplined Arthurian council could not always achieve. But the raiders were persistent. They regrouped, moving their largest ships into a more aggressive formation. Energy weapons began to fire, striking at the outskirts of the city. Crystal spires shattered, sending shards flying like glass rain. Citizens screamed and scrambled to safety. Liara remained calm, guiding the evacuation and issuing instructions. Elias quickly recalculated strategies, coordinating with Mara and Kellen. "We can use the reflective properties of the crystals," he said. "Focus their beams away from the population centers. Redirect the energy, and it will neutralize their attacks without harming our people." The humans moved swiftly, adjusting energy barriers and drones. The city itself became a weapon and a shield at the same time, reflecting the raiders' firepower back at them. The alien fleet was caught off guard. Their attacks, once precise and deadly, now scattered harmlessly into the night sky. Selena felt her heart race with amazement. Humans were turning the tide not with brute force, but with cleverness and courage. She had never seen such control over chaos. Still, the raiders would not surrender easily. A massive ship approached the palace directly, its weapons aimed at the heart of the city. Liara's breath caught, but she stood firm, trusting in the humans. Elias stepped forward, his voice calm. "We can handle this. We need a precise strike at their ship's core system. Mara, Kellen, ready the drones. Selena, stay close to your mother. This will be dangerous, but the city is prepared." The human team deployed specialized drones, guiding them through the raider ship's defenses. Each movement was calculated, each action synchronized. The raider ship fired its energy beams, but the drones reflected and absorbed them, weakening its shields. Finally, with a well-coordinated strike, the raider ship's core overloaded, sending a shockwave that disabled its systems. It drifted helplessly, forcing the remaining raiders to retreat. The city erupted in relief and celebration. Citizens cheered, and the council members bowed to the humans in respect. Liara approached Commander Elias, her eyes shining. "You have done more than protect our city," she said. "You have proven that humans are not just allies, but friends. You have shown courage, intelligence, and honor." Elias bowed respectfully. "We only did what was necessary. Your people's strength and guidance made it possible. Together, we have shown that cooperation is the greatest power of all. Selena stepped forward, her small hand brushing against Mara's. I want to learn like you, she said softly. How to think, how to act, how to help people. Mara smiled warmly. You already have the heart for it, princess. We can teach you how to apply it. Liara placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. See, Selena, courage, wisdom, and trust are what make a people strong. Humans understand that. Perhaps one day you will lead Althurian with that same understanding. The humans were honored, and the Althurians celebrated their victory. The city, though scarred from the attack, had survived because of ingenuity, courage, and unity. And Selena, who had observed quietly through it all, had learned lessons that would shape her for a lifetime. That night, as the twin suns set beyond the horizon, the princess and her daughter looked out over the sparkling city. Humans and Althurians had stood side by side, proving that even in the face of danger, cooperation and intelligence could overcome seemingly impossible odds. Selena whispered to her mother, "Humans, they are amazing." Liara smiled. "Yes, my daughter, and so are we because we chose to work together. Remember this day, Selena. It is proof that the universe is wide, full of unknowns, but also full of allies who can help us rise above fear." And as the stars of Althurian's night sky began to twinkle, the princess, her daughter, and the human allies knew that the bond formed that day would last for cycles to come. A bond of trust, respect, and shared courage. The story of the humans' bravery would be told for generations, inspiring not only Althurian but countless other worlds, proving that the strength of humanity was a force that could shine across the stars.